Welcome everyone to the February 27th Village Board meeting. We will start with our pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, good evening everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. First, we are going to make a few modifications to the agenda as presented. Under communications, we're going to add a number 2, Goshen restoration letter. Communications number 3, a letter about the Hamiltonian Marathon. And items of business, number 9, energy bid. Can I have a motion to approve the modifications as presented? So moved. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Second.
Oh, second. I apologize. Would you like to second it?
Absolutely.
All right. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All right. Very good. Next on the agenda, we have a public hearing on a handicap space at 252 Main Street. Read legal notice. Notice is hereby given that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Goshen, New York will hold a public hearing at Village Hall, 276 Main Street, Goshen, New York, on February 27, 2012 at 7:30, or soon after may be heard, to consider approval for the installation of a handicap parking space at front west side of 252 Main Street, parcel 10951. The Village of Goshen will make every effort to ensure the public hearing is accessible to persons with disabilities. Any requiring special assistance or accommodations should contact the village clerk. I will ask for a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
A second.
Second.
Any discussion? Again, just before we open up, this was prompted by a letter from Land Associates asking for a handicap spot in front of the building. It doesn't currently exist. We spoke about this in a prior work session. The board was receptive, but as part of the legality here, we need to have a public hearing to legalize this. With that being said, all in favor of opening the public hearing, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, any members of the public that would like to comment on this? Yes, sir.
Michael McGovern, Land Associates.
How are you?
Good. Good evening, board. How are you?
Very well.
The application is self-explanatory.
This is the most
Very.
thorough application we've ever gotten. This is wonderful.
So it makes it easy,
Yes.
so you can approve it. We have a disabled tenant on the first floor. Make her life a little bit easier to get in and out of the building. So we thought we'd make the application before the board. And I think the only thing it doesn't really include is we would probably make some modifications to the sidewalk, provide an actual drop curb
cut.
so that it would just make it easier for her to get in, and also for a future wheelchair accessible entry as well. We do have handicap parking in the back, and it's designated, and it's signed, but I think it would just be a little bit better if we had something in the front for the general public that's coming into the bank, which is our other tenant, and also access from the building. So that's basically it.
And just to be clear, the ultimate jurisdiction to issue or to allow the handicap parking is the DOT. But the DOT won't act on a request unless there's a formal request from the Village of Goshen. Correct, Mike? That's
Correct. That's my understanding.
This is the first step, then it'll go to the state, and hopefully they'll act expediently. So I know that Trustee Matthews, you had a comment on that.
I did. I had a comment, and I'm delighted to see, number 1, that it would have to have a curb cut.
Yes.
And number 2, that you did set it back, which was my concern. I wanted it on the other side, exactly where you've drawn it,
Okay.
so that you didn't get into having to deal with the light and the wires coming down from there. I think that'll work very well. And I think that, I mean, personally, I don't know if you've done it before or not, but the handicap that exists services the bank. This could be seen as servicing the offices upstairs.
Correct.
So there's not a conflict with having an additional.
No, and I think actually we would be providing in excess of what the code would require, so it's
But
a good
sometimes
thing.
they need motivation to act.
Correct.
So that would be helpful, and I would support that.
Okay.
All right. Any further public comment? I'm sorry, did you have anything else?
No, I'm finished. Thank you very much for your
Thank
time.
you very much.
Could you just explain for us why the second access is required? I'm not familiar with the site. Is the parking in the back not servicing the same space?
Well, it's where Chase Bank is, down the road.
That I understand.
And I know there's an entrance in the front, but there's also an entrance in the back.
Right.
And this was more prompted for those people that pull right up front as opposed to pulling out back. Because I guess if you pull out back and you park in one of the handicap spots, you would have to get from there, from your car to the building, walking past where cars pull. Whereas in the front, you're just going across the sidewalk.
Not
So-
only that, I think that was the point that I was making, Mayor, in that though those two service entrance to the bank, you have offices upstairs.
Right.
And this could be seen as servicing the offices upstairs.
That's the question I was asking. Do the two entrances not serve the same space? They serve different spaces?
There are offices upstairs,
Right.
and there is the bank on the bottom floor.
And
The
so the-
answer is that the entrance on the back, because I'm a customer of the bank, only serves the bank. Doesn't serve the building.
that's what I was asking.
That's correct. And there is a common lobby entrance on the front,
Right.
which provides entrance to the bank, but also to the
To
second and
offices
third floor.
upstairs.
Which the back does not.
That's correct.
Right. That's what I was asking. Thank you.
You could go from the back.
Well, then you'd have to go through the bank, all right?
Exactly so.
Okay, any further citizen comments? All right, I will ask for a motion from the board member to close the public hearing.
Someone,
In a second? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Dave, can we adopt this tonight?
Yeah, you can adopt, would be, is there a resolution in front of you?
I don't think we have a resolution.
So it would be a resolution to the DOT requesting the installation of the handicap parking space as indicated on the submission by Land Associates.
All right, can I have a motion on that resolution? Mr.
someone.
Matthews, I see you nod your head. In a second? Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Very good. So we'll get that to the DOT.
And just a procedural issue, because a lot of times you do this, I ask you to adopt a secret resolution. You do not need to do that because we're not the permitting
Right,
agency in this.
Because it's going to go to the state.
That's correct.
they're the ones.
Very good.
Your plan really made things easy.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks.
All right, we have some minutes here to approve. First, we have the village board work session from February 6, 2012. Do I have any errors or omissions? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve.
So moved.
And a second? Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Village board meeting from February 13, 2012. Any errors or omissions? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve.
So,
So
whoever's moving.
Move second. And a
I'll
second?
second whenever.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And village board meeting February 21st, 2012. Any errors or omissions? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Very good. All right, communications, Browning Troop 103. I'm not going to go through the whole letter. It's a little lengthy, but it's very kind. We got a letter from Brownie Troop 103, and they are from the Sarah Wells Girl Scout unit. Their troop has been together for almost 4 years. They sent a nice little illustration, and they're celebrating the 100th year anniversary of Girl Scouts, I believe. They've collected over 100 items in the past 5 months, which include 6 blankets for Project Lines that were handed toys for local families in need, supplies for homeless animals, and lots of food items for the food pantry. They've done a lot of great community service events, and they are actually going to be hosting the community dinner even though that they are only 8 and 9 years old, which is very cool. And they're going to be doing that in May. And I'm going to just go through, get to the crux of it. Did you know that this is the 100th year of Girl Scouts? I did not. And that March 12th marks that special anniversary day. They would like us to formally declare March 12th officially Girl Scout Day in Goshen, New York.
I love it.
And I think that's a great idea. And I think that if the board is in favor of this, we could invite them here that night and officially recognize them for their achievements and their community service.
I think that would be just great, Mayor, especially because they say because of Girl Scouts, we are learning to be strong girls.
Yes. Yes, and they definitely put a lot of time into this, and I thought it was very nice. So I would like to move forward on that. Any comments or questions on the letter? All right.
Marvelous. I think it'd be great to invite them over.
And I will ask someone to make a motion to declare March 12th officially Girl Scout Day in Goshen, New York.
So moved.
And a second?
Second from the girl.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Great, and we'll have maybe put together a proclamation for that night. And Meg, tomorrow you and I will talk about getting the word out to not only this troop, but the other local troops, because it's all Girl Scouts in the
We
area.
may have to meet the senior center.
That's true. That actually
That'd be
did dawn on
something.
me. If everyone shows, we'll get head counts first. So, okay. Very good. Next, we have a letter from Goshen Restoration. Dear Mayor Roddy and village trustees, February 11th marked the 100th anniversary of the dedication of the Harriman Fountain, the centerpiece of our village square. In 1992, Goshen Restoration Unlimited spearheaded a project to restore the fountain, which had fallen into disrepair, and to create a surrounding gardens. On June 12, 7 years later, the fountain was officially rededicated with great celebration. Goshen Restoration's significant financial contribution, plus many fundraisers and contributions from the private sector and the village, allowed for the completion of this undertaking. The cost was approximately $50,000. At this time, 2012, the fountain is again in need of repair. The center lamppost is no longer secure, the interior lights no longer work, and the fountain itself only flows periodically. Once again, Goshen Restoration is willing to take on the task of bringing the fountain back to its original functional beauty. We have a preliminary estimate of $10,000 to complete the work. Our organization is willing to donate $5,000 plus volunteer labor to the cost, with the hope that the village will match those funds. Timely response is appreciated as we look forward to possibly beginning the project this year. Thank you for your consideration. Sincerely, Maureen Petrini, President of Goshen Restoration Unlimited. So I'm not sure what everyone's thoughts are on this. Obviously, Goshen Restoration has done an incredible amount of work around the village over the years. I mean, we all see the fountain and how beautiful it is, and the great work they've done even beyond that. I can say, just speaking of this current fiscal year's budget, I don't believe we could find $5,000 in it. It could be part of our budget talks for the next fiscal year if we want, but I'll turn it over to any board member comments. Obviously, we're in a challenging financial time, and as is clear by the fact that we're charging the St. Patrick's Day Parade $5,400 for the overtime for that. There's a value here in something like this, but it's also not anything cheap. So if there's any thoughts from anyone?
Well, I don't think we have the money in the budget this year to do it. And I don't know what the budget's going to be.
Every dollar's gonna count in the next budget.
But we do have.
We all wanna do it,
Go ahead.
but I just don't know if we can afford to do it yet. Maybe it's a little premature, maybe we have to go preliminary in the next few weeks.
Well,
See where it flushes out, and then we go from there, but I think it's a hair premature for us to be able to decide one way or the other.
just to kind of fill the board now, mentally where I'm at on my timetables, at our next work session, it's going to be a busy night. We have the Goshen, the different religious groups coming in to talk about Martin Luther King Boulevard. Then we have the signage committee. But then I'd also like to discuss the preliminary budget, because we should have that out there publicly 2 weeks from tonight, just to keep with the state's proposed timetables. So I'd like to do that, so next week we can discuss it, the following week we can put it out publicly. Obviously it'll be public when we talk about it, but at least that night the board can have those numbers in front of us so we can see the challenges we're facing. I can say due to various cost savings measures that we've taken and are taking, I think that we'll be better position this year than last year. Last year with the 9%, that was challenging for a lot of our residents. I believe that we'll be able to be on par with the tax cap this year, but to get there, it's going to be challenging. So offhand, I know in this current fiscal year's budget, the money's not there. Next year, it's going to be challenging. But we might be better positioned to answer that once we have that meeting about the preliminary budget.
I think in requesting a speedy response, they certainly would appreciate the fact that we have the next couple of weeks to put together the budget to see how much we have.
Yeah,
But aside from that, I think that we do have there are services that we could provide from our own forces here in the village. And on top of that, we've been very successful. This is a focal point of our village. It's the center of the core of the village. And have always found our businesses to be very supportive. I know that, without naming names, until they come forward and contribute to this again, we've had some of our larger businesses be very, very helpful when we've had to raise funds for saving fireplaces, for doing critical work in saving historic things. And this is the core of the core. So I would think waiting to see how much money we have left, committing our labor where we can, and then coming up and trying to solicit some funds, whether that be done by Goshen Restoration with our help or whatever legally proper.
Sure.
$5,000 is not insurmountable.
Yeah, I mean, they seem ready to work, and they've already pledged $5,000.
Yeah.
So I definitely don't want to answer them just flat out no. So if maybe it's some in-kind services, a DPW one day or something like that. I guess we'll have to take a look at the numbers.
What's that point?
So, and I'll reach out to Maureen and just let her know that's what we're thinking, and, you know,
My take on it is, I mean, I would personally volunteer to help them raise funds for it, but we can't do it. And I think we should just tell them no. And we should stand with the caveat that they can, you know, whatever services that DPW can help them out with, they help them out with. And otherwise, we can't do it. And I'll volunteer, anybody else wants it, they can. I help them try to raise the funds to do it, but out of village funds as well.
you know, I can say, I think I agree with you, you know, the budget's not finalized at this point, but I'm not optimistic that we're gonna have 5,000 in there to go
No,
out.
I mean, even when you put it into that perspective, we have curbs that are broken, we have things that otherwise that could utilize $5,000 for repair. Not that this isn't beyond the work of the project, but it doesn't fall in the scope of that.
I think that's a good point.
Yeah?
Any other thoughts on this? Okay, so what I'll do is I'll reach out and I'll say that, you know, we're not optimistic, that we'll look, but Pete, I do agree with you, and I think I know what the answer ultimately will be. But, you know, I guess judging by the, you know, the rest of the feedback that I'm hearing or not, you know, it might be best to take a look and see, but I agree with you, Pete. That's my take as well.
That doesn't preclude our forces helping, however.
Right, no,
And
absolutely.
it doesn't preclude us helping them raise the $5,000.
So then, just to make it more definitive and not put false hope out there, do we want to communicate to them that we're happy to provide some in-kind services, but financially, it's not really an option for us?
I think that they're aware of that. You should reiterate that if you're asking my opinion. But the bottom line is, in 2 weeks, we'll know
Right.
if there's anything. You know, if you can contribute $1,000, then that's one thing.
We had the St. James Church as an example, Meg's husband was instrumental in that. They raised $15,000 or better for the Farm Aid.
Yeah, they did.
And did it in jumping jack flash, did it within a matter of about a month from start to finish. And I don't think that there's things that they can do with assistance that they can get $5,000.
It's not that big of an amount.
Okay, any other board member feedback on this? Okay, I'll pass along the message. Moving on, we have a letter from Rob Dickover. It's titled The Hamiltonian Marathon, which is something that I think is kind of exciting. I'll read through it. Dear Village Goshen Board of Trustees, I run on behalf of the organizational committee for the Hamiltonian Marathon with the purpose of introducing this new and exciting event to you and requesting your support as a municipality in and through which the event will pass. The Hamiltonian Marathon is a new community event planned as a full 26.2-mile road race scheduled to take place on October 20th, 2013. Race registration will begin at 6 a.m. The race will begin at 8 a.m. The venue for the event is the historic track in the Village of Goshen, from which the race will start and finish. The race course is planned as a figure-8 transverse in the village and town of Goshen, towns of Hamptonburg and Wallkill, and the village and town of Chester. 2 segments of the course will utilize the Heritage Trail between Hartley Road and the Village of Goshen, and from the Chester Depot to Goshen. A map of the race course is enclosed for your use in viewing the roads to travel in your community. The Hamiltonian Marathon will, pending its incorporation, be a New York State not-for-profit corporation. The corporation will be an affiliate member of the Roadrunners Club of America, through which the corporation will derive IRS 501c3 nonprofit organizational status. For the year 2013, our scheduled charitable beneficiary is to be the Food Bank of the Hudson Valley and the Orange County Citizens Foundation Initiative for the Heritage Trail. Appropriate liability insurance will be obtained and the municipality will be named as an additional insured. A certificate naming the municipality will be provided prior to race day. We acknowledge that in the event local police protection is requested, that the added cost thereof will be a necessary expense of the corporation. On behalf of the race committee, please accept this letter as our formal request to traverse the municipality on October 20th, 2013. If you have any further questions, please feel free to contact the undersigned. Additional details follow after my signature for additional information. Thank you for your anticipated consent. Very truly yours, Robert J. Dickover, Co-Race Director. And just 2 comments I'll make before opening to more discussion. I appreciate the fact they're acknowledging that there will be a charge for police protection and that they understand that will be a necessary course. And just for full disclosure, I have to make it aware that I'm on the board of the Orange County Citizens Foundation, which is doing the initiative for the Heritage Trail, which they
I
just...
saw you gonna say you're gonna run in the race. I'm sorry.
Nice to meet you.
You're now in the corner. That was smooth.
I will be happy to be there passing out water.
That's all.
So I just want to make that clear. Any board member comments on this?
Actually, I do have a comment. I don't think Rob, he's saying if local
Police
protection
only.
is requested, it will be required.
Yeah,
And DPW as well.
He wrote it
DPW
as
is
if
not
they
like
ask
that.
for it.
well, and we're going to ask for it.
Yeah, he's going to require it to have it.
Right.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear.
Well, I think this is a very positive thing for the community. We'll be very clear about that. I think that's exciting. It's something new.
Great.
And the fact that it's based in Goshen and celebrates the Hamiltonian is even better. But there's obviously, some liability questions that are going to have to be answered. If it's based out of Goshen, we know that in the village of Goshen, we're going to require X amount of police protection. But I think, if we approve this tonight, we need to put in some caveats about, the need to make sure that in other areas of the race that there's adequate police protection as well. Because if there's police protection in the village of Goshen, they run out of Goshen and it's a free-for-all, then, I don't want us to take on any of that liability.
Well, I'm sure, first of all, having run 12 marathons myself, having run one of them with Rob, I'm sure he's well aware. I mean, it's a pretty enormous thing.
Right.
That's
Not-
right.
It's not, I mean, I've run some of the big ones. I've run New York, I've run Philadelphia, and Montreal, and those are all huge. But even a smaller one, you still have 26 miles worth of, 26.2 miles worth of race.
And I first called Whitman about 6 months ago, when he brought it to my attention before they went public with it. So I think it's been planning for probably at least a year already. And he's certainly well aware of the requirements that the village of Goshen will impose relative to police overtime and DPW.
That's my comment as well. I mean, I think the mayor's comment that not only do we require what the town requires, that we should ensure that the other municipalities require it so we don't get into liability, but it's not just police, it's the DPW as well.
I think if we can, it's a little far out for us to kind of estimate, but the sooner we can give him kind of an estimate, I think that'll factor into their application fee as well.
Right.
Because the chief will have to look over the actual
Correct.
race trajectory.
I know Rob has spoken to the chief.
Yeah. And there's a map here, so I'm sure that he's well aware.
Yeah, we didn't get it.
We didn't get maps, you got a map.
Well, that's because he's gonna run, that's what I mean.
Well, yeah, he's gonna run, but for what?
My only comment, I wish him luck on the thing, but when you have the different jurisdictions that you have to manipulate through, it's a big task ahead of them to get all of that squared away, especially when it comes to law enforcement and everything else outside of the village. When you're dealing with the town, and then you're dealing with the town of Walk Hill and whatever, all the how it goes through. My recommendation to him would be that he should try and do it so it plot a course that doesn't encompass 3 different jurisdictions. Or else
Well,
he's gonna
as I said,
scratch his
they've been
numbers.
planning this for quite some time already, so none of this is a surprise to him. He's gonna have to do what he has to do.
Or he uses jurisdictions that are more user-friendly, like Chester or something, in the near area and stuff, but.
So if it's okay with the board, I think it'd be nice, just because it's, locally based, and it's a large undertaking, which I appreciate the effort and the time I'm sure everyone involved in this committee is going to invest, to maybe pass a resolution tonight approving this contingent on them paying for the village overtime cost and demonstrating other safety precautions or outside of the village.
No problem, I think he's aware of it as well. I mean,
Yeah,
as it
I'm
said
sure
for
he is. I just want to formalize it
October
for our
3rd,
purposes.
13,
Right.
not next,
Yeah.
this October. So.
And it's very intelligent, he's starting this
Great
early,
idea.
and so, is the board comfortable with that?
I am.
Okay. So I guess I'll ask for a motion to approve the Hamiltonian Marathon on October 20th, 2013, contingent on them providing the reimbursement for police and DPW overtime cost and demonstrating safety precautions in other municipalities.
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, very good. Okay, going down to items of business. We have a surplus vehicle I'm going to just read the resolution. Resolved to authorize the surplusing of the following vehicle, 2000 Jeep. I'm not going to go through the whole registration number, but it's a vehicle that we're not using anymore. We want to surplus it. I'll ask for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Pretty standard action. Any board member comments? Hearing none, I'll ask for, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you very much. Justice Court audit acceptance. I'm going to read through the resolution. Whereas Section 2019A of the Uniform Justice Court Act requires that town and village justices annually provide their court records and dockets to their respective town and village auditing boards, and that such records then be examined or audited, and that the fact be entered into the minutes of the board's proceedings. And whereas the Unified Court Systems Action Plan for the Justice Courts, announced November 2006, includes initiatives to improve accountability and controls over justice court finances and records, including an increased monitoring of town and village board compliance with Section 2019A. Now therefore be resolved that the Village Board of the Village of Goshen acknowledges that a required audit has been conducted by Michael Veneri CPA and delivered to the village on February 16, 2012. I'm just going to read the letter from Mr. Veneri. I reviewed the books and records of the Village of Goshen Justice Court as of May 31st, 2011, in order to provide an internal audit to comply with the Section 2019A of the Uniform Justice Court Act. The annual audit checklist is enclosed with this report. I have found that all reporting and record keeping is being completed in a timely manner, and that the reports are in compliance with the New York State requirements. So there's a checklist attached. And again, this is something just to comply with the state, and our accountant has certified that everything in the course is well. Can I have a motion to approve? And a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, I'll thank our court department for keeping up the good work. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have an abstract of vouchers. Bills as examined by members of the board were approved in accordance with abstract 2011-2012, number 22, check numbers 2946 through 3031, in the amount of $448,028.95. And again, just for public record, these are all bills that have been approved by trustees and our treasurer and gone through the internal process. I'll ask for a motion to approve.
So moved.
First and a second?
Second.
Second, okay. All right, any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, we have Hudson Valley Waterworks Conference.
Just walk.
Manuel A. Orlana and Michael Sullivan are hereby authorized to attend the Hudson Valley Waterworks Conference Seminar in Montgomery, New York on 2015-2012. It is understood that the cost for training will be $60 for both employees, and that 3.5 contact hours will be awarded towards both water and wastewater license recertification. Again, those in our water department continuing their education and found a place to take a course that is very close by, which helps keep the cost down. May I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Mandated. It's just that this is mandated now.
State mandated continuing education. We're very happy that they are involved. All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, now we have about the payment of our part-timer in the office. This is an individual that came in last June to fill office activities, and we started them on a $12 per hour. And that's obviously very low for someone that's doing a lot of work and has really exceeded expectations in a number of ways. And last week the board discussed this in an executive session because it contained personnel information. But now they're ready, the board, based on our discussion last week, is ready to move from 12 to 14 an hour. Can I have a motion on this?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I just want to also say that the hourly is also an increase in just the quantity of work, but it's also the complexity of work that she does.
Absolutely.
You know, I think it better suits the complexity and responsibility that's put upon her.
And I actually had a conversation with her last week about potentially helping us out in terms of the new open meetings law about uploading documents to the website and stuff, and I think in a lot of ways she might be able to be one of our go-to people in the office for that online stuff. And it's also, it's part-time, so this is an individual that's not getting benefits and not costing the village a lot of money. So, all right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, we have another resolution. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Goshen hereby suspends employee number 333 without pay, effective for a period not to exceed 30 days, pending the disposition of. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Can we have discussion?
Sure.
I don't want to discuss the merits, but everybody knows how I feel about this. You know, I spent 20 years as a criminal defense attorney, maybe it's just my DNA, but without going into the merits of it, I just can't, in good conscience, vote for the suspension of someone pending a disciplinary hearing. The hearing hasn't been held. So I'm going to vote nay. I wouldn't vote.
All right, any further discussion? All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nay?
Nay.
Okay, thank you. Another resolution. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Goshen hereby appoints Joseph Woolley to serve as the hearing officer to conduct the Section 75 disciplinary hearing of employee number 333. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nay? Okay. And I just want to
That was an aye. Because you're okay with the hearing.
I'm okay with the hearing, that's
You're
fine.
okay with the hearing, it's just not okay with the suspension of without pay part.
Okay, just to comment briefly on the signage committee, next week, as I mentioned before, we're gonna have the signage committee come join the village board for a work session, kind of bring it up to the findings. I just want to briefly comment to the board, to let you know in advance what the objectives have been. And our committee's been working to find a way to make the village's code a little more business friendly, while at the same time maintaining the historic character of the village. So it's about finding ways to update our code to make it so business can better promote, but also to help maintain, what the character of the village is. And obviously, there's differing views on that within the committee, and next week the board will be able to hear from different committee members. And we've had, I think, a lot of good discussions. We have 4 members here tonight. Joel, Rory, Marcia have all been involved, myself. And I think we've had some very good productive meetings come out of that. And next week the board will be able to hear from the whole committee. And I think then the board in turn can give the committee some guidance on what direction to move in, what to stay away from, and all that stuff. So I'm optimistic about that. Any discussion or anything you want to add?
Just that I support it, it would be a good thing for the board to know where the conversation's taking place, what's going on, so keep them up to date.
Because ultimately, it's going to have to go to the board for a vote after a public hearing, and it only makes sense for us to present something that the board is kind of in line with.
Sure, the committee can only recommend to the board.
Right. Okay, our last item of business is the energy bid. A few weeks ago, we had M&R Energy, Michelle Reyes, and Advisors Energy Group in here, Paul Block, to give us some energy quotes to bring down our energy costs. And these are both different brokers. M&R Energy works with 3 different companies. Advisors Energy Group solicits bids from a number of different energy companies. And I'm very happy about this. Our projected savings are going to be over $90,000 a year, which in terms of the 2% tax cap is a huge savings. And that extends not just to our general fund, but also to our sewer and water funds. Out of all the bids that we got, Direct Energy came the lowest at a 12-month bid of .0531 per kilowatt, I guess it is. Yes. So that's the low bid out of the total of 6. Or Paul actually only gave us his lowest quote. But his lowest quote isn't the lowest bid anyway. But that's the lowest of all the bids we got. Because the market is volatile and energy numbers change day to day, if we could vote on this tonight and lock it in tomorrow, if we don't vote tonight, we would have to get new bids for a different time, because the way the market's changed, kind of like the stock market, we could see another fluctuation, which could be better or worse. So I'd be in favor of us voting on this tonight, because it is a substantial savings compared to what we are paying now. And I also think it's critical that we vote on this sooner rather than later, because doing our budget, it's necessary to know what our energy costs are going to be. And we can't really put an accurate budget out there, even a preliminary that doesn't have to be our final budget, but to know this number would be very helpful in our budgeting purposes. Do we have any discussion on this?
I think just that we have found a lower fee that's going to save significant money. And number two, that they have shown in her presentation, we had recommendations from other places where it's has worked very successfully. I think it's a marvelous step for us to take in order to save funds. And on top of that, I think taking it for 1 year is the wisest thing to do. In another year, you can see what's going on, but we now would be having tremendous savings to the village.
I mean, I can't say enough, but I'm very happy about this.
Yeah.
I think this is the right move, and to save what could be in excess of $100,000 from this is going to be very helpful for our taxpayers. It's not going to force us to expend any extra work or our resources to do, but it's going to help us out with budgeting, and we're going to keep these savings every year forward.
And when we approve this, Kyle, does that mean that they are held to that rate?
I have the paperwork on this rate, and
Yeah.
I will fax that to her first thing tomorrow morning.
Okay.
So I assume it does, barring any major world economic or, energy challenges overnight.
Still, lawyers, we have to make sure.
Absolutely. So, all right, any other discussion on this? All right, then I will ask for a resolution to accept the lowest bid for our energy. This is, and just to be clear, this is just electric. I know we also wanted to get our natural gas prices as well. We'll still be doing that. We have a quote from one of the brokers, but we haven't gotten it from the other one, so we'll probably have to get fresh rates
This is the
involved.
lady that came in.
Correct.
Correct.
And the other guy had given us three, but this was a little higher.
And then she's going to readdress the natural gas?
Yeah, we'll get a natural gas quote. We got a natural gas quote from Advisors Energy, the other gentleman, but we kind of need to have them both at once for the same reasons I spoke about earlier. So I will ask for a motion to accept the low bid of 0.0531 kilowatt from Direct Energy, brokered by M&R Energy Resources Corporation. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
And to be clear, this is a 12-month contract. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now, Mayor Trustee comments. Trustee Matthews?
Okay, I'd like to start by saying we were successful in having O&R come back in and take down and complete the tree list that they had originally committed to, and they took those down very neatly, beautifully, and quickly. Number two, that I have here a voucher for work that was done to repair light wire and pipe that was damaged by the gas company, which brings me back to the work being done by the gas company. The gas company has been very cooperative when approached in giving us commitment to restoration. However, we've not seen any of that restoration. And with weather and rain and the passage of time, there's more erosion. My own street, the corners are washed away because they were not significantly shored up. I'd like to include this voucher as money that they should be taking care of, not us, and pursue it again to make sure that they stand by their word and that they restore where they had left it in disarray.
I'm supportive of that.
Yeah, thank you. And I will be meeting with the mayor, with Jim Ulrich, to go over the newest on the well and the directional bore, and hopefully we'll be presenting that to you at I'd like to make sure we get on the agenda for the meeting of March the 12th. Okay? Thank you.
Trustee Stewart?
DPW activities. Crews have been out cold patching the streets. They've been cutting down trees and brush around the Green Hill Reservoir. Parking meters were emptied and the batteries were changed. And of course, we had plowing and salting the streets on Friday, February 24th. And then on Saturday, the 25th, they were out there because there were a number of trees that came down because of the high winds. That's it.
All right. Thank you. Trustee Char?
Not much other than a reminder that Sunday, March 11th at 2 p.m. is the St. Patrick's Day
yeah.
Parade.
yes.
So everyone go out and have fun and save time. And I also wanted to thank the parade organizers for understanding our financial predicament. I understand they had a very successful fundraiser last Sunday, was it?
Yes.
I say that because I was out of town skiing with my daughter, so I don't know. I think it was last Sunday, 2 Sundays ago now?
No, last Sunday.
Was it last Sunday? Which I understand they raised a nice amount of money, and we're really, really grateful that they understand and are going to stay here in Goshen.
Thank you. Trustee Smith? All right, just briefly, earlier today, I was at a public hearing on the new county building. At that, on behalf of the village, I conveyed the need for the county to be expedient with their decision-making and the fact that our downtown is suffering as bad as it is because of the lack of the county workers and county customers going to visit the facilities there. It's really time to make a decision. So I encourage the county legislature to do that fast. The Joint Village and Town Economic Development Committee met with BOCES a few weeks ago, who are going to be occupying the Arden Hill campus, very productive meeting. They're going to be bringing a number of employees and students into that building as soon as this September, which will be nice. And they said that they believe those individuals, the staff will be able to leave for lunch at times of the day and support the downtown. So a very productive committee. I think they're going to be a good neighbor to have in the village. And I just wanted to echo Trustee Char's thoughts about thanking the parade committee. I think, and I want to thank the Village of Goshen, who really came out and came to support this fundraiser and showed that, you know, if it's something that we want here, the village will come together and support them. And I think it was a great success, and it shows about the tight-knitness of this community and that, you know, we do, in fact, very much want the parade here, and I think that will continue. That's all I have. Citizen comments? Mr. Rooney?
Hello, Mr. Mayor, how are you, sir?
Very well, so.
This is actually a follow-up on what you just discussed in regards to the county's, the county building. Could we put a recommendation or a letter out to the county government that, being that the temporary relocation of most of the county offices went into the Matthew Street office complex, that some sort of temporary signs are actually put out at Matthew Street and on our two main roads at our main intersections, so people that are coming from other parts of the county, before they get to the county office building, they have to turn around again and actually to be directed into the Matthew Street office complexes. Because whether this is a 6-month temporary reassignment, a year, 2 years, I think we owe it to the citizens that are coming to our village to know, hey, make a left here, make a right here, and go down to this block, and you will satisfy at least 60% to 70% of your county needs in those two new buildings over there.
It's interesting. I know Rory knows because we've talked about it. The signage for the county clerk's office and everything out there is great.
Right.
They tell you going out of town where to go, they tell you where to turn, then when you get into the complex, they tell you where everything is. And it's kind of surprising that they don't have signs in, I agree, I didn't think about that, but it's kind of surprising they don't have signs here for all the offices, you know, the DA's office, and the county attorney's office, and everything that's right up there. It's kind of,
I think it's a great idea. Nick, let's talk about that tomorrow morning, and I'll figure out the best person to reach out to in the county.
Okay. The second item, smaller item, but more important, we've been very fortunate this winter with a mild winter, and it has afforded our Public Works Department some extra time to do smaller projects, off-season projects. Could there be some sort of consideration in regards to some of our public sidewalks on some of our residential streets that have the original old-fashioned slate slabs that are out there, to take some of that extra time that we possibly may have to reset some of those slabs by using our public works people, similar to what was done when we had appropriated the bond money several years back when we did the downtown area with all the new brick and utilized our own workers.
I can say that part of the conditions of our using our DPW forces for those projects, and I was mayor then, was because they were in what has the unfortunate terminology of the blighted districts. But that's what got you the funding and enabled you to use the DPW services. I think you would have to, keep a positive attitude. You would have to find a way for them to be used because the sidewalks truly belong, the maintenance of them belong to the homeowner.
By the village code, maintenance and upkeep is the homeowner's responsibility. Now, I wish that were not the case.
However, it is.
I own 300 feet of sidewalk. Some of the flagstone is in fine shape and some of it is in very poor shape. And it's not an inexpensive task to try to fix it, and especially when it's been there for 100 years or more. When you get the big crowbar out, you bring it up and it starts to peel and break, and it's a Herculean task. But by our village code and authorized by law, it is the responsibility of the abutting homeowner.
We set it in front of our home as well, and
Sure.
it is beautiful when it's reset.
I'm sure.
So it's gorgeous, so get out there, will you take her?
Hey, Derek, that's the problem with the corner
Yeah.
lot.
That's right.
He has 300 feet.
No.
So I
Thank
think,
you.
Were that I had 300 feet.
thank you very much. Well,
To follow up on that, let me just say, wherever bluestone can be preserved, it's in the village's interest to do so, and too often in the past, it has been removed and replaced with much lower quality and less permanent material that just is, over time, looks awful, whereas the bluestone always looks great.
it's beautiful, absolutely.
I must proudly say how much I agree with you, Joe.
To follow up on Ray's point of signage, it follows on the suggestion I made about parking lots and allowing people coming into the village to know that there is municipal parking, not just putting the signs on them, but directing them to those areas. It's an excellent idea, Ray, to direct people to the new offices, so they're not confused. It's environmentally beneficial, and it's beneficial to the county. It's beneficial to the operation of the village.
Absolutely.
To follow up on what you said about the meeting today, let me just let everybody know our mayor did us proud. He did a very good job at the county meeting today, and YNN and Tracy Baxter were there, so consult your local news outlets. I'm sure they grabbed a chunk of that. I would be surprised if you weren't on those news things. You gave me some numbers last week on, or gave us, the community, some numbers on the arbitration expense and the dirt removal, and you broke them down by year, 2011, 2012. I'm wondering, first of all, I had asked for those numbers to be total aggregate numbers. Did those numbers include everything, including permits, fees, any additional costs, as far as the arbitration expense was involved, and as far as the dirt removal, did it also include Cornerstone? And secondly, were the dates correct on that? Because I thought David had referred to, excuse me, Mr. Donovan, had referred to 2010 as being within the range of the arbitration billing.
Well, 2010 is when the litigation would have started.
That's right.
We served the notice of claim and started the lawsuit
Right.
against the town and ended up in court over the arbitration issue. I don't think there would have been any fees incurred by any experts at that time, nor any fees incurred by the arbitrator. That would all have been in 2011.
So,
when the arbitration
there
proper was conducted.
what I'm getting at is the numbers you gave us last week as 2011, 2012 were complete?
For the arbitration, I will double check tomorrow, and I don't have the sheet in front of me. I believe those are all in. I will double check on that. In terms of the dirt pile removal, those numbers included the cost of paying the contractor and the cost of the tipping fees. Cornerstone was separate from that.
So
that is easily ascertainable as well.
Right. It would be helpful if we could ascertain what that was. And that also, I believe, started in 2009, Cornerstone?
No.
2010. No, it's June of 2009.
No, but fall of 2000,
Yeah,
late
the
summer,
end of
fall of
2009.
2009, they were engaged
That's
by the
right.
village, yeah.
That's right.
Not 2008.
The first resolution, I believe, was June of 2009.
Yeah, it seems to me I recall their first report September of 2000.
That's right. That's right. You know I'm going to ask about the question I ask every week.
Actually, there's nothing new, because I was away for a few days, and the Assistant Attorney General handling the file actually called me while I was away and said he was going to be away last week and to call him this week. So maybe I'll know something next time.
And maybe not.
Could I have the fun part of that question? I'm sorry.
Oh, I was asking about the...
Shouldn't be such a stranger, Ray. If you're a camper off like the old days, you know all
or
this
if you watch the videos. I was asking about the compliance conferencing, the fines, and the consent order. Last item, there was a meeting last week that was an emergency meeting. Without getting into the specifics, could you characterize what the need was for an emergency meeting and what the notice compliance was for noticing that meeting, since it was not a scheduled meeting.
It was a very unique and pressing personnel matter that arose last week that needed to be immediately addressed, Joel. And I really can't say much more than that about it because it was a personnel matter, very sensitive in nature.
Which I assume is what was referred to tonight.
That's what was referred to tonight.
And you passed a resolution at that meeting?
We passed a resolution, we came out of executive session and passed a resolution authorizing certain actions to be taken. You can see it in the meeting minutes. Joel, we authorized the chief of police, if he felt it necessary, to bring certain internal disciplinary charges. And that's all I can say about it, Joel. I can't tell you who, I can't tell you what, I can't tell you what happened.
I'm not asking.
Okay, just to be clear.
I was quite specific in the question as to notice, when it was noticed, and
What did we do?
was it in compliance with the open meeting?
Yeah, what happens with the open meetings law, what it says is, if you have to have an emergency meeting, you do whatever you can to get the notice out. So we put a notice on the website, and we put a notice on the door. But we had less than 48 hours, maybe less than 24 hours, where our labor council wanted us to adopt a certain resolution.
Fair enough.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, any other citizen comments? All right, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you very much, everyone. Have a good night.
There's a whole bunch of, where did these come from?